Have you ever found yourself wondering if she's really into you? Most men, understandably, assume that attraction looks universally the same across all women, expecting clear, undeniable signals and consistent behavior. But what if I told you that genuine attraction often operates in much more subtle, sometimes even contradictory ways? It's not a checklist she consciously ticks off. Attraction doesn't operate on logic. It moves through her nervous system first, a primal, automatic response long before it reaches conscious thought or decision-making. Once you understand this fundamental truth, that attraction is often an involuntary physiological response, women's behavior around attractive men becomes much, much easier to read. The first crucial insight to grasp is that attraction doesn't necessarily make women act better in a conventional sense. It makes them act different. This change is often subtle, almost imperceptible to the untrained eye, but it's consistently there, a quiet hum beneath the surface of her usual demeanor. Her default personality shifts, not dramatically like a sudden transformation, and certainly not on purpose, but just enough to reveal what's truly happening internally within her. For women who are naturally expressive and socially comfortable, attraction tends to amplify what's already present in their personality, making their entire energy lighter. Their reactions come faster, more spontaneously, and laughter appears more easily, bubbling up even at things that wouldn't normally trigger such a strong, joyful reaction. Their tone of voice often softens, becoming gentler, and their body becomes more animated, more open, more present in the moment with you. This isn't a calculated performance she's putting on. It's her nervous system excitement, a genuine physiological response, simply leaking outward, unable to be contained. You'll often notice her subtly finding reasons to stay nearby, lingering a moment longer, or angling her body towards you even when speaking to someone else. Her eyes will return to you repeatedly, almost unconsciously, a quick glance, then back to the conversation, then back to you again. Physical space between you might subtly shrink without any conscious effort, perhaps a light fleeting touch on your arm or a step closer than strictly necessary. These aren't calculated, manipulative moves on her part. They are automatic, instinctual responses to attraction when her inhibitions are naturally low. But here's a critical point where many men often misread the situation entirely, leading to missed opportunities. They assume attraction always manifests as overt confidence. The truth, my friend, is that attraction doesn't always look confident at all. In fact, it often looks quite the opposite, especially for certain personality types. For women who are naturally more reserved, perhaps a little shy or internally focused, attraction often has a completely different effect, a subtle contraction rather than expansion. Her voice might lower, becoming softer, quieter, and her movements might become more controlled, less spontaneous, almost deliberate. Eye contact might shorten, becoming fleeting, darting glances rather than sustained gazes. This isn't disinterest, but because the emotional charge she feels is overwhelming. You might notice an increase in silence, pauses stretching longer in your conversations, not due to awkwardness, but a heightened self-awareness. This is precisely where confusion often happens, and where many men miss the true signal, mistaking quietness for rejection. But silence, when it's paired with an underlying tension and palpable self-awareness, often signals the exact opposite of disinterest. A shy woman who is genuinely attracted doesn't disengage emotionally. Instead, she retreats internally, gathering her feelings, and her body gives it away before her words ever do. One of the clearest, most reliable signals appears not in her facial expression or direct words, but in her subtle body orientation. Her feet, her shoulders, and her torso will quietly, almost imperceptibly, align themselves in your direction like a subtle compass. Even when she's actively engaged in conversation with someone else, her body's core will remain oriented toward you, her primary focus. This isn't a conscious decision or a deliberate maneuver. It's a deeply biological, instinctual response. The human body instinctively turns toward what it perceives as safe, interesting, or most desirable. Conversely, when attraction is genuinely absent, her body will subtly prepare for exit, signaling a lack of engagement. You'll notice her stance angled away from you, her feet perhaps pointing outward, her weight shifted as if she's already halfway out the door, ready to move. She may still speak to you politely, maintain a pleasant smile, and engage in surface-level conversation, but her body, the true barometer of her internal state, is already halfway gone. Her energetic presence has faded before her words ever change. A quiet signal of disinterest, even when she's trying to be polite. Now, here's a powerful secret. The most reliable indicator of attraction isn't any single isolated behavior. Instead, it's inconsistency. Attraction, by its very nature, disrupts routine. It shakes up her usual patterns and how she interacts with the world. If she treats everyone else around her the same, with a consistent demeanor, but treats you distinctly differently, that's a huge tell. A woman who is generally outgoing and chatty with everyone, but becomes surprisingly quiet or reserved specifically around you, is revealing something profound. She might be hiding something, yes, but that very act of hiding, that deviation from her baseline behavior, is just as revealing as overt flirtation. What truly matters is the deviation from her established baseline, the noticeable shift in her usual pattern when you enter her space. Of course, context is king here. Her history, your shared past, all of it matters immensely. Past rejections or awkwardness can shift behavior for reasons unrelated to attraction. Awkwardness, avoidance, or a guarded demeanor might stem from discomfort, a defense mechanism, rather than a lack of desire. Emotional residue alters behavior. Without understanding the emotional timeline, signals can lose all clarity. It's vital to consider the full picture. But when there's no negative history, no past baggage, and you begin to notice these subtle changes emerging only around you, that's when you truly need to pay attention. Attraction rarely announces itself with a grand declaration or a neon sign. Instead, it leaks. It seeps out in quiet, undeniable ways. It leaks through subtle grooming choices. You might notice slight changes in her appearance, a little more polish, a new accessory, or just more effort without explanation. This isn't a dramatic transformation, but a thoughtful refinement of her look. A woman rarely puts in this kind of effort for a man she doesn't feel something real toward. Her body, her instincts, prepare and make these subtle adjustments long before her mind is ready to consciously admit her feelings or intentions. Attraction also leaks through her emotional regulation. Around a man she finds attractive, her emotional state tends to become more sensitive, more finely tuned. She might react faster to stimuli, a quicker blush, a more immediate flinch, or a more rapid change in her facial expression, becoming acutely aware of how she's perceived. Even when she consciously tries to hide her attraction, to play it cool, the very effort of hiding becomes visible, creating an internal tension. And this tension, my dear friends, is absolutely readable if you know what to look for. It's a signal in itself, a quiet testament to her true feelings. Here's the beautiful paradox of human attraction. The more someone tries to conceal their interest, the more obvious the behavioral shift often becomes. We humans are simply not built to hide emotional arousal cleanly. Our bodies betray us. Our nervous systems give us away, even as we adapt and adjust. Those very adaptations, those subtle adjustments we make to maintain composure, are precisely what reveal the underlying truth of her attraction. Attraction fundamentally changes her posture, her pacing, and profoundly changes her attention, drawing her gaze to you, even when she's trying to focus elsewhere. It even alters the way time feels during your interactions. Moments can stretch out, filled with unspoken meaning, and conversations might stretch or compress. And silence, rather than being empty or awkward, becomes charged with unspoken emotion, heavy with possibility, a true sign of deep connection. When a woman is genuinely attracted to you, she doesn't actually behave like her normal self. Instead, she behaves like a version of herself under a powerful emotional influence. That influence might express as amplified confidence or hesitant shyness, playfulness or restraint, openness or guardedness. But regardless, it always leaves a trace. The true key, my friends, is not to obsessively chase after isolated signs or single behaviors. Instead, it's about observing patterns. Notice how she is with others, then compare that to how she is specifically with you. How does that difference persist consistently without any conscious effort? That's the real signal. Remember, attraction isn't a deliberate performance designed for you to decode. It's a powerful, primal, physiological response that reshapes her behavior, whether she consciously wants it to or not. When you stop fixating on obvious signals and start truly noticing these subtle, consistent shifts, the picture becomes incredibly clear. What truly reveals attraction most reliably isn't just what she does, but how unlike herself she becomes when you enter her space. It's a beautiful, intricate dance of human connection, revealed in the quietest moments and the most subtle changes. So tune into these subtleties. You'll begin to see a whole new world of signals and understand her attraction in a way most men never will, unlocking deeper, more meaningful connections.